So, welcome to Beauty of Colors podcast, Julie. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Cleanne. I'm thrilled to be here.
So, Julie, tell us a little bit about you and what is your story?
So, in 2009, I started my business, Reawaken Your Brilliance. I was in the nonprofit world prior to that as a director of development, and I was in a job and I was like, this isn't what I want to do. So, what can I do that would use my skill set? I could help people and I got to support myself. At the time, I was single. And so I was like, I could do organizing. And as I started to do the organizing, I also had a show, Reawaken Your Brilliance, where I'd interview body, mind, spirit experts. And then I had this aha moment one day when working with a client. And she said, can we just talk? And I was like, absolutely, you're the client. And so we talked for 3 hours. And in that last hour, boy, were we able to declutter. And I was like, aha, it's more about the decluttering as opposed to the organizing. If we declutter, the organizing is a piece of cake. So I got certified as a coach and I moved forward with that. And I support people in decluttering in all areas of their life and becoming more mindful and aware.
So, what do you mean, Julie, when you say cluttering is not a physical weight? It can be mental, it can be emotional, as well as spiritual. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. So my definition of clutter is this: it's anything that prevents you from creating the life and space you choose, deserve, and desire. And I share that because I want one for people to see the bigger picture of clutter. And so what I mean by that is a messy desk is more than a messy desk. It's a roadblock to a promotion, or it's preventing you from doing that creative project that you want. So we can have mental clutter such as anxiety or worry, right? When we're in the present moment, that's our point of power to change. And then all that mental clutter goes away. Emotional clutter for me is knee-jerk reactions or always being angry all the time and just having an emotional outburst. It could be jealousy. For me, spiritual clutter is not being able to forgive or not having gratitude or not following your passion. And so becoming aware, this is what the clutter is. So awareness plus action equals change. If I become aware of what it is, then I can take the action to change my life.
Wow. So you're saying that if somebody has this physical cluttering, like the desk is always messy, that can be an indication that the emotional or spiritual life is also clustered as well, or no?
Absolutely. I mean, again, everything is individual, but I believe the inner affects the outer and the outer affects the inner. So as you start to declutter your physical stuff, it's going to get you mental clarity. It might make you be calm. It might have you have gratitude because you're like, wow, I have so much stuff that I've got to let go of things. And as you, do the vice versa. So as you clear mental clutter, that might get you motivated to start clearing your space. So it's all related.
Wow. So in order for you to have that declaring your in order for you to clear your emotional clutter, you would have to first clear your physical.
No, you could start with the emotional. But what I want to make the point of is that one affects the other. It's not like we're in this silo. And if you start, then you're going to see in your other areas of your life being affected. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I just wanted to clarify. So, how does one gain peace of mind and increase joy in their life?
Excellent question. Well, for me, that's clearing your clutter. Maybe you have relationship clutter and you have people that aren't supportive. They on YouTube, you can find the video where they take water and they yell at it and then they're really nice to it. And our bodies are what, 75% water. And it's, I believe Emoto that did that. And so if we are around people that aren't supportive, we're going to become like them, right? We become like the people we're around. So if you are hanging out with people that sit on their bum all day and have no motivation and all they do is gripe, you're going to become like that, right? Peace of mind can be, I mentioned earlier about the present moment being your point of power to change. Become present. If you're worrying about the future hasn't happened yet, right? You don't know what is going to happen. And the past has already happened. I've tried really hard to change the past and I've been unsuccessful. When I'm in that present moment, that can help relieve my mental clutter and bring me peace. So, say if you are concerned about retirement, I see this a lot. I'm in those financial freedom groups on Facebook. What can you do today instead of worrying about retirement that's way out there? You know what? I can talk to my employer about my 401k match. I can read a book. I can listen to a podcast. I can ask my friend who knows a lot about money, right? Their action we can change. And that helps bring us peace of mind because we're doing something. I think the biggest thing is when people get stuck, that they just kind of freeze and they don't know how to move forward and they don't know how to take action. And so that's about taking action. And then you know what? You feel better. You get moving, you're doing something.
So, Julie, you have a few books that you have written. You're also an author as well. Is that correct?
I am, yes.
So tell us a little bit about your books and the classes for each stage of the decluttering journey. Do you have a book for every stage, or do you have one book for the entire decluttering journey?
I would say that it's more geared towards a subject. So, for instance, my book, Clear Your Clutter Inside and Out, which named after my podcast, simplified it, looks at physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and there's a bonus energetic chapter because I know that can be a little weird concept for people, but I really hold your hand. I go into detail. Again, this is the summary, this is the action that you need to take. And there are areas where when I've worked with a lot of people where they've struggled. And then I have a whole journal prompt series like relationship clutter, holiday, right? Health, finances. And so what that is that's a journal prompt series because I believe you have the wisdom within. I don't know what's best for you. My job is to support you in bringing that wisdom to the surface. So in these particular areas, I say, here's how answer the questions, give some suggestions, sit quietly, so you can hear the best answers, go with your intuition, and then I give a game plan at the end of that. So okay, you've answered all these questions. What's the action that you need to take to move forward? And something that I do a little differently that I haven't seen in journal prompt books is I have a line with a little lotus at the end. So once you've answered the question, I encourage you to pick out what has stood out to you the most. What's most important from what you've written? And when you do that little extra step, again, that's just breaking it down into manageable steps. When people have a lot of clutter, they tend to be overwhelmed. This is how can we break it down piece by piece to make it easier. And then finally, I have a 21-day jump start to declutter your life. That's a awareness and action, and then boom, make a change. And then I have classes on holiday, spring break, getting organized, decluttering your life, and back to school. And again, these are everything written at probably about 4 or 5 hours long. And they're an audio and video, but they're again broken down into bite-sized pieces. So if you have 5 minutes to listen to an episode, you do that. You have 10 minutes, but it's again to make it manageable and to make it easy so you can declutter and get organized.
So how many books do you have?
15.
15 books. Wow, that is nice. Okay. And does the decluttering journey, is there a time on it, or is it different? The time frame is different for everybody.
First of all, I love how you use the term decluttering journey because I believe we're always on a journey decluttering. Perhaps not in the physical arena, but I try to be the best woman that I can be. And so I'm constantly working on self-improvement. I used to believe that there was this false perception of perfection. I don't know what it looked like, but I felt like it was the end game and I had to get there. But I've learned, you know what? I'm constantly a work in progress. And sometimes as we heal, we've healed, but then maybe a year or two, something triggers us and upsets us again. And that's just another something coming up to be healed. So it's really wherever you are, right? And everything's designed to meet you where you are. And it's about knowing yourself better, understanding and connecting with your intuition and that inner wisdom so that you can take action and move forward.
Wow, nicely said, Julie. So, Julie, where can the listeners get in touch with you? Do you have any speaking engagements coming up? What are some of the services you offer?
Well, thank you for that. If they go to reawakenyourbrilliance.com, all my information is there. I don't have anything coming up. Hopefully in the fall, I'm in talks with someone, but I have a YouTube channel, I have an Instagram, and my podcast is available on demand. I do coaching and speaking are the main things that I focus on right now, and writing. I'm working on some more books.
Nice. Okay. So, do you have any last words for the listeners what would you say to someone who is allowing fear to hold them back?
Great question. So fear is false evidence appearing real. right? And I want people to remember that. And I think what's really important, I believe you're either coming from hate or you're coming from love. And I would break love to include fear. I like to say that you are good enough, you are worthy enough, and you are loved no matter what, right? Because we're these beautiful babies, and then society happens to us, or parents happen to us, and friends happen to us, and we get all these messages that we're not good enough. And and we have this bright light, and a lot of times it's dimmed. And so that's again going back to why I want people to get that inner wisdom, because the inner wisdom saying you are amazing and you can share your gifts with the world, and that's what we need.
Yep, we're all enough. You are enough.
Yes.
So, Julie, thank you so much for being on Beauty of Colors podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.